Hi everybody, Andy Geshe here from Remax Solid Gold. We recently got the stats from our real estate board, so the Waterloo Regional Association of Realtors. We got the stats from January 2024. So this video is going to go over some of the highlights from those stats. Of course, this is a broad strokes look at what was going on in our local real estate market last month. So if you have any specific questions about your situation, I'm always here for you. You just have to let me know. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is the January average sales price by property type. So this is presented in a bar graph style, and we can see that the red indicates single family home, gray townhouses, green condos, the yellow mustard color semi-detached home, and then the blue is all of the above, kind of in one pot. So we can see going back to 2022, which was really the end of the crazy market that we had, we can see that we got hammered a bit. January 2023, we were down to 885,000 as far as the average price for a single family home. And January 2024, we reported that the average price for a single family home in the Waterloo Region Association of Realtors was 909,000 and some change. We can see here that the townhouse prices, and they also took a pretty big hit from 2022, but we can see that they're up 1.7% year over year, and they came in at just over 636,000. Going back here, I forgot to mention the increase on single family homes was up 2.6% year over year. Now looking at the condos, we can see that we're actually down year over year. So we're down by 10% year over year. Some of that might be due to the fact that there are more condos being phased in all the time. If you've been driving through our region, you've seen a lot of cranes in the air and a lot of high-rise buildings that have been phasing themselves in along the LRT. So with excess supply, we've seen those prices come down. In the month of January, they came in at an average of 446,000 and change. Moving now over to semi-detached homes, they were pretty flat year over year, down by less than 1%. And they came in at 646,000 and some change for the month of January. Now looking at all property types, we can see that we're relatively flat year over year. So we see now that $762,000 and some change is the average price for a home, considering all property types, on the Waterloo Region Association of Realtors. So again, we didn't see really any increase year over year, but this also should indicate to us that we've hit pretty much the trough. And if interest rates do go down at some point this year, we'll probably see those prices starting to climb. For those of you that just don't like bar graphs, I've got a different representation here for you of the average sales prices by the property type. So again, red being the single family homes, gray being townhouses, the green being the condo, yellow mustard being the semi-detached homes, and then the blue line being all property types. So we can see here we reached the highest peak early in 2022, which makes sense because it was March 2022 that interest rates started to go up, and as we see, prices started to decline quite quickly. And then we saw around the middle of last year, spring market into the summer, we saw that the prices peaked again, and then they came down ever so slightly. Now let's look at the extreme right of this slide and see here all of the indicators show that prices are in the upward direction. I expect, except for condos, I expect that will likely continue, especially if we do see interest rates change in the downward direction. We'll probably see more pressure on pricing as more buyers enter the market and are competing for limited supply that we have. Okay, we can break down that information a little bit further into the cities. So the major cities that make up the Waterloo Region Association of Realtors, consist of Cambridge, Kitchener, and then Waterloo. And then we have stats here for the entire region. So we can see in 2022, we had reached our peak in all of the cities and then across the region. Now looking specifically here at 2024, we can see that Cambridge is actually down on the average sales price overall. So they're down 6.4% year over year. They came in at 734,538. We can see that Kitchener is up a little bit over 5% year over year, coming in at $734,611. Waterloo is up by 1.5%, coming in at an average sales price for all property types at $790,627. And then the region overall, as I had suggested in the last slide, is pretty flat. So we're down by 0.1% for our average all property types, coming in at $762,826. Not wanting to leave anybody behind, we've also got some numbers here specifically for the township. So these would be the areas primarily that don't fall directly into Kitchener, Waterloo, or Cambridge. So we have Wilmot Township, Woolwich and Wellesley Township, and then North Dumfries Township. So again, no surprise, we can see that in 2022, we were at the record highs for just about every township. Then we saw a decline in 2023. And as of January 2024, we can see that Wilmot Township, the average sales price was $909,000. In Woolwich and Wellesley Township, we were at $931,000. And then in North Dumfries, we were $919,000. Now, this is all property types. So again, we can see that the outskirts have been doing quite well. Those sales prices are above the average for all property types across the region as a whole. So we can see that, buying in the outskirts may not necessarily get you something for less money, but there might be more value because you probably are getting slightly bigger property or bigger land for the same prices that you would get if you were shopping in a more conventional urban setting like Kitchener, Waterloo, or Cambridge. Something else that I think is pretty interesting for us to look at is something that we refer to as the month's supply of homes for sale. So this is across the entire Waterloo region. And this particular graph goes all the way back to 2011. Now, I started my career in 2005, so I was still full-time at this point, so I do remember these days. So back in 2011 and 12, we had over 4 months supply of inventory. So what that basically means is based on the amount of sales that we have each month and the amount of inventory that we have each month, how long would it take us to sell all of our current inventory based on the number of homes that we sell on any given month? So again, we had roughly 4.5 months of inventory back in 2011, 2012. Now we fast forward here and we can see that months of inventory has been creeping up since the market started to decline in 2022. So we crept up over 1 month, then we crept to about 2.5 months. And now we're roughly about 1.5 months worth of inventory based on the volume of sales, the unit sales that we have each month relative to the amount of inventory that we have. So here's another way that we represent the same data that we were just talking about. This breaks it down a little bit more differently. We're only going back as far as 2022, but we're looking at the property types. So we have single family homes, townhouses, condos, semi-detached, and then the blue category is all property types. So we can see right now, as far as single family homes, we've got about 1.2 months worth of inventory. Townhouses, about 1.9. Condos, we've got 2.8. And again, for the reasons I articulated earlier in this video, more supply means more inventory with with the sales that we have to maybe increase the number of sales that we're going to have to change that number. But right now we've got almost 3 months of inventory on condos. So semi-detached home, under a month's inventory. So overall, all property types, again, we've got about 1.5 months of inventory. The average days on market, we can see here that the graph clearly shows, again, we're going back again as early as 2011. We can see that the average days on market was hovering between 40 and 50 days. Then we saw a real dip here around beginning part of 2017 is when we really first started noticing the market start to do some really crazy things. And then we saw that, again, there was some fluctuations, obviously, some of the seasonal nature of our industry. Then we had the COVID years where everything was just going bonkers as far as things turning over quickly and selling for record prices. And again, so we're seeing here average days on market creeping up just over a month and a half, as I'd suggested before. So clearly there's a lot going on in our local real estate market. I hope you found this video useful and helpful. If you wanted to talk about your specific situation, because every neighborhood is different, every type of home is different, based on how it shows and its age and the condition. And there's so much that would go into trying to determine value for you specifically. I'm happy to do that. I'm also happy to help any family or friends that you might know that are looking for a realtor. So please just keep me in mind if there's anything ever that I can do. Again, look forward to seeing you again soon. And please reach out if you've got any further questions.